And we're back with this XT. Okay, so we've got to this point with it. Now because it's got a, what's the make of it? Kido camshaft. A camshaft, 30086. Yeah. So we've got the spec for the cam timing on this XT motor. So what we need to do is, it gives the inlet opening, etc, etc, but what it does is, the way is to be spot on timing, is it gives you lobe center for the intake and for the exhaust. So with this, let me see if I can show in there. To do this on this engine, you have to pretty much assemble it all to be able to have a look at the valve timing. Now, if you can see in there, Yamaha did, let me get a pointer, let me get my pen. The centre hole there, well centre, this hole here, I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to try and hold camera and torch at the same time. Just get too much glare I think, there we go, but let's try it. This hole here is the original Yamaha timing hole, okay, where you put this pin in here. And then what's happened to this, to get this cam degreed in the right way, somebody has drilled, probably on a dividing head, whatever, to get it accurate, but drilled the cam wheel with different settings, and it's numbered, and then obviously the lines on the line up with the face of it when this top half is off. If you're going to use that one, which is, looks like number 1, then you use the number 1 timing mark. If you use number 2, then you use the number 2 timing mark over here, etc. Now, this has been such a time consuming job to do this, but I had nothing to work with to start with. So what we do is we set valve clearances to 0, so there's that just touching, so there's no clearance on it. And so what we're going to do is, we need to find, to start with, we need to find, well, we accurately found top dead center. Okay, so if I can just move around here, the degree wheel is on the engine here, okay, with a pointer, and the pointer is accurate. I'll go through it in a sec, but the pointer is accurately set to top dead center, okay, because that's that way, and we're kind of working the spanner on the end of the crank this way, blah blah blah, but bear with me. So I'm going to try and set this up so I can show you what I did. I'm going to have to put this now. Excuse me again, frigging cold. Right, I'm going to put this on our tripod. Okay, next thing I've got to do is, because my dial gauge is only a ½ an inch movement, that's all I need. What I want to see here, we've got an accurate TDC setting, so what I want to see here now is the exhaust valve at full lift. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn. That's okay with that in there. It's all bolted down, so I'm just going to turn now. In fact, it's actually just rising now, so if I go backwards, it's easy for me to just go back and then come back the other way. Yeah, just let it spin, it'll spin, there we go. Right, I'm going to come back this way now, and we're going to get full lift on this exhaust valve. We're looking for lobe center, okay. Now, if you get a cam that's got any amount of dwell, I mean, if you look at that there, that's not moving with a naked eye, yet there's so much in the middle. Let me get it to, you just see it. Right, but we need to know where that centre point is. This camshaft is timed up to lobe centre, okay. So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to put a dial gauge now we're on full lift. I'm going to set our dial gauge up to just touch. We're right there. Yeah, now this is going to be difficult Let me get that. It is awkward to set up to do this stuff, but right, okay. Now I'm just going to check that we've got fluid movements backwards and forwards on that dial gauge. Yeah, so we're looking for full lift, which is, let me get a little bit of light on the job, which is full lift. It's actually at full lift there, so I'm going to try and just zero it. Not that zero is critical, but I want a point to come backwards and forwards to. Okay, so I'm just going to check that. See, it's never the same, is it? Just within a... Okay, so we're going to come back and go the other way. Come back and go the other way. It's not the zero particularly I'm looking for, it's after it. Each side of the zero. Perfect. Right, what I want to do, we can see, hopefully, I'm going to try and get the camera. Let me have a look what's showing. Can we see the... See, if I put this here, it stops me. I'm going to have to just bear with me. The joys of I need to be able to see the degree wheel, and I need to be able to see the... I think that's pretty definitive there. Okay. Do I put that like that? Does that give us a bit more light? Does that make it worse? Yeah, I'm just going to have to do it like this. Right, what I'm looking for is, we know zero, we've zeroed it there. Full lift on that valve, okay? That's absolutely full lift. We know valve clearance is set, it's just at full lift, okay? So we're zeroed. So I'm going to go back now and just pick a point. Normally, I'm going to work to, say, let's say, you don't want to do this with too much. I was going to say 0.2 mil on a cam, because if you've got a camshaft that is, how do I say, is varying in, it's got a nice gradual rise and then a steep fall, we're still looking for the centre point in the middle of those, so it's difficult to tell. So anyway, this is the way to, but if you go too far either side, you can go into the steep bit and half of it on the nice rise and half of it on the steep bit. So keep it near the top. Keep it near the top, that's what I'm trying to say. So let's say 0.2. So we know zero. I'm going to go to 0.2 and just hold it. Now I need to take a measurement. And we are looking for, so before top dead centre, so past the 90, so 90, 110, 20, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to say 125 on there, 125, okay, degrees, which I've got written down there. I'll show you the paper in a minute. So we've got 125 degrees before top dead centre, and then back to zero, and let it ride past and come back the other way to 0.2. Oh, 70, 80, 92, 92 at 0.2. Perfect. Okay, so let's just take off. That will actually just stay there at that. So, just going to move to here. Wind that down and add. And there we go. So, as I've just done, set at 0.2 before the centre point and after the centre point. So we've got a 125 and a 92 on the dial gauge. Okay, on the motor, on the dial gauge. So what we do, the 2 degree measurements we've got, what we're going to do is we're going to add them together which gives us 217. So 5, 6, 7, there's a 7, 9, 10, 11, 1 and 1 carried, and 1, 2. 217, half it gives us 108.5. So, as it says on the spec, this was exhaust valve we were looking at. We are looking at, where is it now? Where is it? Lobe center, intake valve, / exhaust valve. So / exhaust valve is 108.4. 108.5. I think we're pretty definitive. We are relying on other people's holes drilled in. Remember, it's not a true vernier. When it's got a hole, or a hole, or a hole, if you get what I mean, we're relying on the accuracy of the hole being drilled. But I think we're pretty damn accurate at the timing that we've got there. So I think we can now say we're using this point. So if I just bear with me now and take this off. We're using the peg in that hole, which is actually on number 1. See, there's a 2, 3 and 4, and then there's a minus 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, I mean, we've got no info on this hole. Does that mean that it's a positive 1 degree advanced, or is it a 2 degree advance? So, I mean, what I might do for video purposes is actually take this apart, and because I looked at the, I don't know why, but I looked in the negative figures, so I just had it set. No, I didn't, sorry, I actually set on 0, which was Yamaha's own, and it just didn't tally up at all. So I've got it on the number 1, and we're starting to get figures that are looking right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull it apart. I'm going to put it in pin 2, and then we'll have a look at what degree settings we get from pin 2. Okay. Okay, back to this timing. I think I've pretty much nailed it now. So, like I say, if we'd have had a true vernier in there where it was infinite, the adjustments, then it would have been a lot simpler. But the fact that you work into different time marks to different holes to etc, etc, you've got to strip it down each time and torque it, and but tighten it all back up to set it back up before you can check it again. But anyway, I think we've pretty much boxed this off now. So as we can see down there, we're on a T mark there, and she's 0 there. Okay, so what we're going to do first, we'll put torch down for a minute. I'm going to try and do this in hand. So what I'm going to do is I want to look for, I'm going to put a spanner on crank, and I'm going to try and get maximum lift on the exhaust valve, as we've said. So here she comes, just starting. So let's get full lift on the valve, and if we're holding it sort of, we can see there now that valve from there. Our eyes now can't see it opening anymore, but the crank is still turning. This is where we have to find the center point of the cam for the timing to be correct. So I've got we've got full lift, as good as full lift there. So I'm going to try and do it one-handed. Can I get this dial gauge on one-handed? I bet, well, I imagine I might be able to if I, here we go. So I'm going to put the dial gauge, if I can flick, hang on, if I can flick this trigger with my, oh, what a player. Right, okay. Again, now, we're not bothered about degrees at the minute. What we're looking for here, I'm just going to set that up. So we smack on the tappet adjuster there, okay? Now, let's just look for the full lift. So full lift is as good as there. Let's 0 that up, and it always moves and wobbles about and everything as it. And we're happy with that. That is. Let's go a little bit further that way. Try again. Yeah, for the purposes of this, bang on. As I said before, what we're going to do I'm going to come back now to just 0.2 before. So I'm going to normal rotation, I'm going to go 0.2 and hold it. Now I want to try and measure what we're saying that is 90, 100, 10, 20, 4. Yeah, 90, 100, 110, 20, 4. Okay. Still at R2, yeah, so let's go past it now. Normal rotation until we get past it, and we're going 0.2 again, and we've got I'm going to call that 91. Right, okay, so if that just sits there, what we're going to do then, so these are all the different ones that I've done. So what did we say we'd got there? So at our 0.2 we said we'd got, hang on, I'm not pointing at here, we said we'd got 124 before top dead centre, and what was that? A 91. A 91, so 5, 11, so we've got 215, okay, in our degrees here. So we've got 215 degrees, okay, each side of the centre point. So the centre point is going to be, we're going to divide that by 2. So we're looking at 15, 7.5, 107.5 now. So coming back to our old sheet here, lobe centre, intake valve, exhaust valve 108.4 before top dead centre. We've got 107.5, so we're within a degree. Right, we're within a degree of our setup, but I think more importantly, the hole position. Because if that isn't in exactly in that 108, we're not going to get it at 108. So that's the closest to the camshaft's timing that I can get it to. And boy, what a mission that's been. Of all the different 110 centres, 108s, what's that, 107.5 I got there again, and 107.5 I've got there again. So it's been apart and back together and apart back together that many times. And here it goes again, excuse me. Oh dear me. That I'm calling it that. Okay, so we are, the cam's nipped up, we've got some tension on the chain, and at full lift, lobe centre, the lobe centre now is set to, with these measurements, to 107.5. Now that, for me, is as close as I can get it to the factory's 108. The only thing to check now that we've got to do is at 10 degrees before and after, okay, the valve's open and you can see in there. The only thing we've got now to do is to just check valve to piston clearance at the 10 degrees before, or a mil before. Sometimes it's a mil, whichever way you want to, but I'm going to rotate it round and just keep checking the valve, pushing the valve, and if we get a situation where the valve is obviously dink dink dink, you can press the valve down a bit further and it hits the piston. We need more than a mil. What are they reckoning it wants to be? 1.2 mil clearance minimum of intake. This actually doesn't make sense because it's a bit. By mounting the tuning cam, take care of a valve to piston clearance of a minimum of, let me make sure you're seeing that, 1.2 at the intake valve at 10 degrees before on the intake, before, and 1.7 of the exhaust valve at 10 degrees after. So the minimum distance between piston and valves occurs 10 degrees before top dead centre exhaust. Well, that's just intake valve before TDC, exhaust, so I think that should mean inlet, but anyway, we're going to check it either way, you know. We're going to check it either way. So I'm quite happy now, and for the owner, 107.5 is as close as we can get it. Okay, now that to within a degree is, like I say, and it's down to setup. It's down to our setup, yes, but our setup's accurate. You know, we're accurate, but we've got an option of, what is it, 6 or 7 holes in there. It's either that one, that one, that one, or that one. Now, had that been a true vernier, we could have got that, dialed that part of that degree out again on a true vernier where it's a slotted. But because we're working to holes, that's as close as we can get it. But anyway, we can proceed now, put this back together, and happy days. Yeah, good on it. Okay, pick it up in a bit.